All right. Hi, everybody. We're here for our monthly free help. So as always, this session is intended to be free help for anybody. So you guys are welcome, whether you're working with us currently or not, or you just have Lead Docket and you stumbled upon our page. You can come ask your questions. We'll walk through some just troubleshooting on whatever you guys need. And if it's something that has to be taken off call, that's no problem whatsoever. We can connect with you, go through a discovery call and see if it's something that we can help you with. So I don't have any questions just yet, so I'm just going to go through a couple questions that I've gotten outside of this call this week that I think everybody could benefit from. So once again, just keep an eye out, or if you or listen out, if you want to enter your own questions, you should have access to the Q&A. You can raise your hand. We might be able to have you unmute. Whatever works, that's totally fine. And I'll just go ahead and just jump into some questions that we got this week from our clients. So one of the questions is definitely something that we get frequently, and that is mapping. So in this specific situation, there was information and it was posting into Filevine into an old field that they were using. It was the summary field, and it was posting into a field that they had since obsoleted, and they needed to update that. So it was now pushing over to the correct field. So easy fix, but you just need to know where to go. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. And also just kind of touch a little bit on mapping as a whole. So let's go ahead and take a look at Lead Docket. So this is, of course, Lead Docket, you're probably familiar. And all of the mapping can be looked at in two places. So one you might be familiar with, it's underneath Manage and Custom Fields. And each custom field may be mapped to something in Filevine. So you can look at it from a field by field basis. Custom fields being the fields that you personally added into it or your implementation partner added. So something that didn't come in Lead Docket already. So you could come here if you were looking at a custom field, but in this case, the question was about the summary field. So a built-in field, a field that's already in Lead Docket. They didn't add that field. And just so that we're all on the same page, this is the summary box we're talking about. So there's a second place we can go to look at all mapping in Lead Docket. So over here on the tab, if you have Manage, it's going to be located directly above that to Pending Filevine. Now, everybody should have the Pending Filevine tab, regardless of your permissions level. So we can click into the Pending Filevine tab. Now, you may or may not have access to Filevine mapping up in the top right-hand corner. And this Filevine mapping is exactly what it sounds like. This is everything that's mapped over to Filevine. So you can see we just have a list of fields here. And if I want to search, I can use this filter button. And then there's also a new mapping button. And so in this case, once again, the question was, they had summary that was mapped to a field in Filevine that they had removed, they obsoleted it, and they needed it mapped to a different field. So in our summary, or our filter, excuse me, we would look for summary. And actually in our sandbox here, we don't have summary mapped to anything at all. So I'm going to do this as a fresh map. I'm going to click New Mapping. And the first thing is, what's the field in Lead Docket? And this can be your built-in fields. So like summary, it can also be fields that you guys added yourselves, so custom fields. So let's go ahead and type in summary. And I've got a couple options here, but we're looking for just the generic standard summary. And then it's going to take a second to load, but it's going to pop up a second box. It's going to allow you to select your Filevine field. So same thing, it's just a search. You might have to double check the merge code, which is this thing that appears in the squiggly brackets, just to make sure you're pushing it to the right one. But you'll see it's going to tell you the section and then the field name in that box too. So let's go ahead and look for a description of incident. That's usually where we'll push our summary to. Here is my intake.description of incident. The merge code says accident, but the field says incident, and hit save. And so now that's always going to map over to that field. Now, if you have a field mapping somewhere you don't want it to map to, you'll notice there's a handy delete button, or you can switch it. So let's go ahead and say I actually mapped that to the wrong description box. I'll search for summary in the filter here. I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to see it's the Lead Docket field summary and which field we're going to, and I can just quickly and easily switch it over. So let's go type in description. And let's say it was actually supposed to be description of accident that I posted it to. We can just switch it, hit save, and that will be done. So now you have the ability to switch that mapping over quickly. No need to do anything else on the Filevine side as long as those fields are already there. And I think I did see a question come through, so let me take a look at that. Yes, perfect. Can you show us how to add a new office location to Lead Docket? Yes, I can. And then can you make one office be the default location? And that is also a yes. So let's go ahead. We'll answer this one live. And the first part of that question, how do we add a new office location? So just for some context, in case some of you may not be using this yet, there is a field in Lead Docket called Office. You can see I actually don't have it turned on yet at all. So it would be located right between severity level and assigned to intake. So let's go over to our Manage tab over here. And if you have access to Manage, then you're going to see Offices more than likely. This is limited to admin permissions. So if we click into Offices, you can see I do actually have 3 offices here, but they're all disabled. They're turned off. So right from here, let's go ahead and just turn these on. I'm going to click New Lead, and we're going to go down. And now you can see that Office box is there. It is required. So if you turn it on, it will be a required field. And those are the 2 options I turned on. And if we want to add another one, for example, I'm located in Atlanta. So let's go back to Manage Offices, Add New in the top right-hand corner. And then you can just follow the prompts. So if we're adding an Atlanta office, you'll need to put the Atlanta address for your office. And then you can set a couple defaults here. I'll go over that in just a second, but you'll hit save and there you go. So now Atlanta is also going to show in that office dropdown. Now the second part of that question was, can we make an office be the default location? And the answer to that is still yes. It's actually not these defaults, believe it or not. So these defaults are, do you have a default role for those office locations? So for example, when somebody selects the Atlanta office, do you want to use a specific phone number or the main phone number? It's going to default to the main one. Do you want it to always automatically assign over to a specific intake person, or you can just leave it to the default? To default the office based off of other things, then we need to go to that other thing. And more often than not, it's going to be based off of the user entering the lead. So for example, if every time I log in, my name is Shadae, you guys want your office to default to the Atlanta office, then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Manage Users. We're going to locate your user, and then we're going to set it to Atlanta, which I just lost it. There it is, default office, Atlanta. And now when I go down and save every single time I'm logged in as Shadae or Shadae logs in, it's going to default that office selection to Atlanta for her. So I hope that helps. Let me go ahead and mark that one done. And let's see what we've got going on here. All right, perfect. So another question that I've got on my list here is how to edit your marketing sources. So that's a really common one. Just for some context, once again, when you're adding a lead, you've got 2 contact sources here, marketing sources. There's your marketing and contact, and firms are using these in different ways, but the same thing that's always going to be true is you'll need to update them, and that's removing and adding. Much like how we ran into our summary box, it's not a custom field. This was built into Lead Docket. So in order to update these values, we need to go to Manage, Lead Sources, and then it's going to take you to a list of everything that's listed. So it's just a yes or no. So after hours call service, for example, you can see is not a contact source and it's not a marketing source. That is actually means that it's completely turned off. I'm not going to delete it because we have data in there. Other leads actually did come from an after hours call service. So we just turned it off for both of them to remove it from that dropdown. Then we've got attorney referral, which is marked yes for both. So attorney referral is going to appear in both of those dropdowns. And then you can, of course, delineate one specific one of them. So for digital marketing, this is a marketing source and not a contact source. So it's very easy to edit. You'll hit the edit button and then you can see contact, yes, no, marketing, yes, no, and save. And then when you add a new one, add new in the top right-hand corner, it's the exact same thing. You'll name it and then yes, no, depending on which one it should apply to. Now, this is not to be confused with the referred by referral source. So that is in a different spot if it's not already obvious to you. So you see that the marketing source and contact source list was found under lead sources, but our referred by and you hit search and you see these referral firms, those are referral sources. So we've got lead sources and referral sources. And to add a referral source, you go to manage referral sources down here. And then you see a list of all of the existing ones. So you could edit it if you need to, or in the top right-hand corner, you can hit add new. When you add a new referral source, it's going to give you all of this information, or it's going to ask for all this information. I like to highlight some important ones. So firm name, of course, how you want the name to present. Practice area is going to help your team sort through these referrals if they're going to be sending them. So if I want to send an outgoing referral, for example, and I would like my team to see a list of all of the personal injury attorneys, the work comp attorneys, the employment law attorneys, that is what this practice area is used for. And so that's very helpful for referrals outgoing. So I brought you to this page because of incoming referrals, and that's why I like to point this out. A referral source can be both. So you can both receive referrals from a person and send referrals to that person, and you use that distinction here by just toggling yes or no to either of them. They default to yes. The only reason to toggle it over to no is if you do not want them to appear in the optional drop down there for referred by or referred to. And then the last thing I want to make sure to point out here, or actually second to last, I'll say one more thing on this, is the Filevine contact ID. This is what connects it to its Filevine contact card. So if you're going to be pushing this data into Filevine, which we do encourage, and you want to make sure that the referred by sends it to the appropriate attorney contact card you have in Filevine, you need to connect the two of them. And that's what this contact ID is. So you would get the contact ID from Filevine on the contact card and paste it here, or you can just hit browse. I don't have any data in here, but it's going to go ahead and pull up some contacts that it thinks it could be associated with based off of the name and contact information. All right, and then I did say second to last because there is one more thing that I do want to point out is the email address. All of these fields are optional here for the most part, except for a few of the required at the top that I've mentioned already. But the email address is highly, highly encouraged, especially for any outgoing referral firms, because when you send out a referral to a firm, built into Lead Docket by default are some emails, reminders. It will send that firm all of the contact information. They'll get reminders to keep you posted on the status of that referral in case you are collecting a fee and would like to notate when it's settled. So without the email address, they can't receive anything from you. So that might be a good thing for some people if you want some more information on how to turn on and off that referral communication. That's a separate conversation, but you need an email address here, obviously, in order for them to receive anything from your firm. So that is referral sources. So lead sources and referral sources are the two tabs that you use to control the options in your marketing section of your ad lead screen. All right, and I'm looking, I don't see any Q&A right now. So I know that we're a little bit into the hour. Actually, oh yeah, we already answered that question. It was just about the offices. So if there are no other questions, we can go ahead and end the recording. I'll hang on for just a little bit, just in case anybody wants to hang tight and ask any more questions. But we'll go ahead and end the recorded session now. So just on for a couple more minutes. And then if you guys ever have any questions, you can always email us directly at leaddocket@vineskills.com. We can either answer your question or point you in the right direction or schedule a discovery so that we can actually get you some good advice, some good help, and get into your system and help you make those edits ourselves.